In this tutorial, we're going to explore how to automate design workflows using the Designer node, a graphic design editor built directly into Spaces. It's a full-featured canvas where you can create multi-page designs with text, images, shapes, effects, and more. In this example, we'll walk through how to create multiple adaptations of a promotional piece by swapping out its content. From Home, go to Spaces and create a new space. To add a designer node, you can either right-click on the canvas and scroll down to find it, or click the plus button in the left sidebar and create it from there. Once the designer node is created, before diving into how the tool works, we first upload all the assets we need. In this case, we'll use our logo and create 3 different lists containing the text that will be used across our designs. For this example, we're going to design a square format post for an all-terrain motorcycle brand. The goal is to build a layout and then automate the creation of 3 additional posts using different motorcycle models, keeping the same structure while changing the image, the claim, and the description. Let's begin by adding our content. First, upload the logo by dragging it onto the canvas. You can also upload it by right-clicking and selecting Upload, or by clicking the plus button in the left sidebar and choosing Upload. Now that the logo is ready, we move on to creating the lists that will drive the automation. The first list will contain the images. Right-click, create a new list node, and since we're working with images, select Add Media and upload the 4 photos for our designs. Rename this list as Photos so it's easier to identify later inside Designer. At this point, it's important to understand how lists work. All lists must contain the same number of elements for Spaces to interpret them correctly. For example, if you create a list with 4 images and want to generate 4 designs by changing the claim and the description, those lists must also contain 4 elements. The claim is simply a short sentence that expresses a key idea or promise. In addition, all lists must follow the same order. In our case, the first element in every list corresponds to the road bike, the second to the dirt bike, and so on. With that in mind, let's create the first text list for the claims. Following the same order as the images, we add for the road, for the dirt, for the water, for the snow. Next, create another text list with 4 descriptions, again maintaining the same order. Each one corresponds to a different type of motorcycle: road, dirt, water, and snow. Now we have all the elements needed for our design. Next, connect the logo and all the lists to the Designer node. With everything connected, open the Designer node and click Create. The Designer editor opens full screen in a modal window. From here, you can start a project from scratch or choose a base template. On the right side, you'll see the selected format, and in the bottom right corner, click Create. In the center, you'll find the canvas. This is where your design takes shape. You can work with multiple pages if needed by clicking the Add Pages button in the Tools bar, but in this example, we'll focus on a single layout. Along the top, on the left side, you'll find options like Add Elements and Layers. On the right, there's the version history and zoom controls. Selecting Add Elements opens and closes the sidebar. Under the Nodes tab, all connected nodes are displayed, including the logo and the lists. These act as dynamic content sources for your design. The Assets tab allows you to upload new images or reuse existing ones from your creations. Now let's start building the layout. From the panel with connected elements, hover over an item and click the plus icon to add it to the canvas. As you can see, the first item, in this case the logo, has been automatically added. We begin by placing the logo in the top right corner and adjusting its size. You can resize it directly or use the panel on the right. This panel is the Inspector, a properties menu where you can adjust position, size, rotation, color, and effects. Once the logo is set, go back to the nodes and add the claim. Adjust its size and choose the typography. In this case, we'll use a bold Akshar font. From here, you can also adjust alignment, orientation, and all text-related settings. At this point, it's important to understand that elements added from connected nodes are called placeholders and appear with a pink outline. These are the elements that will be automated later. Elements added directly inside Designer appear with a blue outline and remain fixed across all variations. We'll come back to this later in the process. Now let's place the image, adjust it to fit the layout, and send it to the background. To do this, open the Layers panel, where you can organize all elements in your composition and move the image layer to the bottom. Next, add the description text from the list. Adjust the text size and layout as needed. In the toolbar, you'll find tools like cursor, pan, text, and shapes, as well as the option to add new pages, together with the undo and redo buttons. Now add a new text element using the text tool. Write All-Terrain Moto Co. and place it in the lower left area of the design. Adjust size, typography, and positioning. Since this element is not connected to the designer node, it will appear with a blue outline as mentioned earlier. This means it remains unchanged across all variations. Next, add 2 lines above the brand name and description to complete the layout. Using the Shapes tool, select Line and place it on the canvas. In the Inspector panel, adjust colour and thickness. In this case, we'll use a dotted line to match the aesthetic. At this point, the design is complete. Now we move to automation. All placeholder elements, marked with a pink outline, will be replaced based on the lists. Static elements, marked in blue, will remain unchanged. Click Done, and Designer will generate one version for each item in the list. Back in Spaces, you'll see a new list containing all variations. Here we can see the main layout we designed, together with the different variations generated automatically, each one adapting the content for dirt, water, and snow motorbikes. Any changes made to the design or the list will automatically update these results when the designer node runs again. By default, the new list node keeps the full history of changes. If you prefer to keep only the latest results, switch Keep Items to Replace Items in the bottom left settings. That's how Designer and Spaces work together. You can turn a single design into multiple variations without manual editing. With this, you now have the basic knowledge needed to start building your own adaptive workflows and explore the full potential of Designer.